Hi, Chris here. Today I'm going to be looking at this greenteQ Euro cylinder. It actually used to be in my front door until it broke. It's a dimple core. And the most interesting thing about this is actually the pins. So I'll give you a bit of a tour of the pins and then a demo pick. So if we look at the exterior side first, because it's a little bit more interesting, you can see the cylinder is marked with an EXT and it's got 3 stars on it. You can see in there is a groove for the second row of pins. And pins wise, we've got 6 pins in the main stack. We've got a standard driver on pin 1, and then we've got four of these quite nice spools on the back 4 pins. You see the long drivers on 2 and 3, and sorry, the long key pins on 2 and 3 in this lock are actually 0 lift, which is a bit of a shame because pin 2 is a special sort of springy pin-in-pin arrangement. So you can see there it's got like a little sliding sleeve and a spring. The end's been crimped over to keep that in place. So don't actually have to pick that on this lock, but it's kind of a cool design. And then for the second stack, you've got 3 of these, which are just completely passive pins that you don't have to do anything with, and those go with the 3 low lift locations there on the key. And you see these 2 high lift ones, these are actually a cool thing where you've got a hollow, let's call it key pin, and then this teeny tiny little spool thing with a spring on it. And what happens is that this is sort of sprung to an oversize like pin length when it's in the lock, and if you pick the lock without compressing this first, then that pin rolls over in the socket and sort of locks itself in place, and it's you can pick out of it, but it's a little bit awkward. You will see how I overcome that on the demo pick, but it's a cool design. It goes a sort of step beyond the sort of basic passive pins for key control. Now the inside, the pins are much lower effort. There's only 1 pin in the second stack, and it's in the first of the 5 available locations. Key pins are the same, and all the drivers are this sort of copper coloured standard driver, so it is much easier. One thing I should point out on the key pins, you see there's a shelf on them that sets how far deep into the lock they sit. And in this lock, pins 4 and 6 have actually got that shelf a little bit closer to the tip, so these pins don't sit as deep in the lock, and you do have to go fishing for them a little bit with the pick to find them. I think that's an anti-bump measure, basically, just to give them a different depth. So if you tried to bump it, the bump key wouldn't make contact with the pins. Okay, so now you know what's inside. Let's see what it takes to pick them. So if we start with the interior half of the cylinder, you can see here is the key. So these 2 deep cuts, those are actually 0 lift, so you don't have to do anything with those. You do have to pick the other 4 pins. These second row, you can see you've got a couple of high lifts on 5 and 3, but this interior side has only actually got 1 pin on the second row installed, and it's one of the completely passive low lift ones, so don't have to do anything with that. They are of course all standard pins, so nothing particularly interesting or dramatic. Does mean you won't get much visual feedback, unfortunately. Now pin 4, anti-bump key pin, so sitting quite deep in there. Just don't really need anti-bump on the inside. I think it's just so they don't have to have different different standards of key pins inside and outside. And 6 is anti-bump as well, and there we go. That's open. So yeah, pretty straightforward. If we look at the exterior, a little bit more interesting. So pin 1, standard pin, so you pick that and you go into a nice full set. 2 and 3, of course those are 0 lift, so we can leave those alone, they feel springy. 4, deep set, anti-bump. Nice counter rotation, 4 is picked. 5 just a regular key pin, but again it's a spool driver, so plenty of counter rotation. That's set actually. There we go. And 6, another anti-bump, so sitting deep in there. Okay, yeah, you can see that's the main stack picked, and it's gone into a big full set, and it also traps the pick because the top row of pins traps it. Just a little bit of counter rotation. Freeze that up. And now go on with this, because there's only 2 heights of pin on the second row, and the low lift ones are completely passive. You can use a simple flat tool like this to just pick all of the other the high lift ones at once. This has got 2 high lift pins. Some of the other locks like this that I have got 1. You could just as easily pick them with a flag, but when you've got more than one, it just saves ping ponging. So there we go. greenteQ dimple door cylinder 3-star picked.